It was way back in 1967. I was still a little boy. So I cannot remember why I was obsessed with a bus that went up and down the little hill in Trincomalee. Trincomalee is a natural harbour town in Sri Lanka's eastern coast with a Royal Ceylon naval base where my father had begun his naval career as a young cadet. While settling beside the picturesque harbour with his young family, he had begun to notice my strange obsession with the bus. He had tried hard to divert my attention towards ships, but it hasn't worked out. So, naturally, like any other father would do, he decided to step into the picture and fix the issue once and for all. So you want that bus, huh? Yep. No worries, son. You watch your dad. Gonna get you the bus. Yeah, CTB bus. Ceylon Transport Boat Bus. They were well known and they were everywhere. Everybody needed them. Not many people could afford to have cars back then. But the buses were hardly appreciated. They were blamed for everything. The bus was late. The bus was full. The bus didn't stop. The bus broke down. The bloody bus never arrived. Quite common excuses people used in their day-to-day lives. Most of the times, they were true. Out of frustration, people set fire to buses during national unrests. Sadly, for few, burning buses would become a national pastime. The buses had to be tough over there to survive such landscape. Buses get exploded by bombs. Some buses, they go down the hills, driven by confidently intoxicated drivers. Buses also get beaten annually during the school cricket match season. For young boys, beating the bus to the rhythm of cricket was kind of fun. At times, it's the elephants who decide the fate of the bus. If the elephant thinks he has the right of way, then good luck for the bus. For things that were buses, life wasn't easy. Even though there had been buses that had managed to derail trains, such futile attempts wouldn't leave anything much of the bus to be proud of. Such was life for buses in Sri Lanka. Many perished. Very few have survived. This is the story of a bus that had survived for many long years. In August 1967, on my 4th birthday, my father gave me a bus, a scaled-down wooden model of the same bus that went up and down the little hill. He made the bus by himself to fix my obsessive-compulsive bus disorder. A thoughtful birthday gift. He made it out of wood and painted it with lacquer. And I drove this bus the way I want. I pushed it into water. I pulled it over stairs. I flew over the rocks. It must have been a rough ride for the spoon babies. Yeah, the spoon babies were the passengers inside the bus. The plastic colorful spoons had come inside the cow van gate, the milk formula that we were fed with. They were collected by my mother to serve in her many jars of Sri Lankan spices. But my father had other ideas. He put them inside the bus. I remember looking at them with the light coming through the bus. The pastel-shaded spoon babies, they looked quite happy and trippy. And they never complained. I must admit my earliest understanding of driving had come from the CTB bus. As a kid, I always wanted to stand behind the driver. It was fascinating to watch how the driver turns the big steering wheel while sitting on a spring-loaded seat, which went up and down, driving over many potholes of Gaul Road. Next to the seat was a roaring hot engine, from which came a long bent with a shiny knob on it. The driver, back at home, I imitated the sound of gear change while pushing my bus. The bus was going through lush green, sunsets, bullock carts, dogs, Morris miners. As much as I grew up with the bus, eventually I had grown out of it. As my interest had slowly begun to divert into other things. Motorbikes, photography, and mostly girls. They have made me totally forget about this little bus. Until many years later, I returned to Sri Lanka and saw the little bus, totally forgotten. neglected, rain damaged by leaky roof, nibbled away by rats, and covered in layers of dirty cobwebs. I picked it up and dusted it off. And to my surprise, the bus has survived. The spoon babies were still intact, still smiling, a bit faded. Naturally, the bus had survived, all alone without me. The wheels were still turning with its familiar rattling sound. Instantly, it took me back to my long forgotten memories. The bus on my hands has become much more than a bus. It's my childhood, which I can no longer leave behind. I decided the bus has to go with me to Melbourne. There we go, to Melbourne. Time slowly went by. Today is my father's 86th birthday. I had a surprise for him. He had no idea the bus had survived for this long. He was amazed that I kept it all along. He held the paint-faded bus with his frail hands. 56 years ago, his hands were strong and made a bus that would survive for this long, unlike any other buses of that time. The feeble hands holding the faded bus was very special, yet emotional. I must have been impatiently watching the bus coming to life, stage by stage. I have to admit, it made me feel emotional to see what time has done, though it's unavoidable. To escape that uneasy feeling, I said, "Dad, I'm thinking of restoring the bus back to its former glory. I'll fix the cracks and repaint it. What do you think?" He gazed at the bus and said with a firm tone, "Leave it as it is.